If one more person asks me if I'm a therapist, I'm going to make an entire video series about this. Wait, that's exactly what I am doing. Welcome back. Happy Social Worker Month. I'm LaKenya Tam, Power Me Clique LaKenya Tam, People Social Worker, and I am here today because we are clearing up one of the most biggest misconceptions about this field. Because I cannot tell you how many times I have been at a dinner, a network, a family gathering, and someone finds out that I'm a social worker and immediately says, "So you're like a therapist, right?" And I smile and I take a breath and I say, "Let me explain to you." Not all social workers are therapists, and not all social workers work with individuals one-on-one. And the paths inside this profession are not so much more diverse than people realize it. So today we are gonna get into it a little bit. We're gonna talk about the difference between clinical and non-clinical social work, what each path actually looks like, and what the licensing means, and how you can figure out which one is right for you. So I'll start with clinical. Clinical social work is the branch of profession that focuses on mental health assessments, diagnoses, treatment. Clinical social work are licensed, typically at the LMSW or LCSW. So that's licensed master social work or licensed credential social work level, depending on where you are. They can work directly with individuals, both family groups for mental health or emotional or behavioral challenges. This is the therapy side. That is the diagnostic side. This is the work that happens in a private practice, an outpatient clinic, hospital psychiatric unit, school counseling office, a community health center. Get my drift? If you are pursuing the clinical path, you are working towards your LCSW, your licensed clinical social work license, and that requires supervision postgraduate hours, a license exam, and ongoing continuing education to maintain it. It is rigorous. I will not tell you that it's not, but it is earned, and it opens the doors to independent practices, meaning you can hang your own shingle, start your own practice, and see clients without being supervised by someone else. And let's talk non-clinical. And I need you to hear me when I say this. Non-clinical does not mean less than. It means a different focus. And a different focus, I'm covering an enormous amount of ground. Non-clinical social worker is where you'll find community social workers, the people on the ground connecting individuals and families to resources, navigating systems, doing case management, making sure people have what they need to survive and thrive and stabilize. It is where you find policy social workers, the people working inside government agencies, advocacy organizations, legislative offices to change the rules that are hurting the people we serve. That was a mouthful, but that is what it is. It is where you find medical social workers in hospitals not doing therapy, but coordinating discharge planning, connecting patients to services, making sure someone has a safe place to go when they have to leave that building. It is where you'll find school social workers supporting students not just emotionally, but academically. And within their family system, it is where you find program directors, administrators, running organizations, managing staff, overseeing budgets, making sure the whole operation holds together. It is where you find researchers and evaluators studying what is working and what is not, and publishing findings that shape how the entire field moves forward. And if it's where you find international and global social workers, yes, people working in NGOs, humanitarian organizations, and communities, and across the borders. I want you to sit with that for a second and rewind that back and sit with it for as long as you need to, because that is not a small list. That is an entire world of possibilities inside one profession. Now let's talk about the letters, because the licensing piece confuses a lot of people. And I want to break it down very simply. At BSW, which is Bachelor of Social Work, it is your entry-level degree. It gets you in the door for a lot of community-based and case management roles. And you have MSW, Masters of Social Work. It's your advanced degree. And inside the MSW, you typically choose a track, either a clinical track, you put your focus on direct practice and mental health, or a macro track, which you focus on community organization, policy, administration, and system level work. After your MSW, you can pursue licensure. Your LMSW, Licensing in Social Work, is your postgraduate supervised license. You have your degree, you're working under a supervisor. Remember that. You are building your hours, and that goes towards your LCSW. And hours is like I know from in New York, it's 3,000. So that makes you go to your LCSW, which is your licensed clinical social work license. Is your independent clinician or clinical license, tongue-tied. This is what allows you to practice without supervision. Like I said, diagnose and open your own private practice. Contract work, you can be able to do a consulting work. The sky's the limit with these two different licensures. Here is the thing I want you to understand. Not everyone in social work role requires clinical licensure. Many leadership roles, policy roles, research roles, and community roles require the MSW, but you do not have to require to be clinically licensed. The credential that matters depends on the work that you want to do. So how do you figure out which path is right for you? Here's what I encourage or want you to think about. Ask yourself, do I want to sit across with individuals and families and work directly on their mental health and emotional well-being? If the answer is yes, the clinical path is probably where you belong. Or you can ask yourself, do I want to work at the system level, or do I want to organize communities, influence policies, like run programs, lead organizations? If that is what lights you up, the macro or non-clinical path is your lane. Do you want to do research, teach, build, create? There is a lane for that too. And do I want to do more than one of those things? Because guess what? You can. You absolutely can. You are allowed to hold more than one of those things at the same time. If it's better, they are different expressions of the same commitment to improve human well-being, to fight for people who are fighting to survive, to show up in the gap between what should be and what isn't. Social work is a big profession, bigger than the therapy office, bigger than the agency, bigger than any other role or title or lane. And I hope this video helps you a little bit more of what is possible inside. I'd love for you to drop some comments. I'm going to ask you, which path are you on? Clinical, non-clinical, or are you somewhere in between doing a little bit of both? I want to hear it. And if you're still figuring it out, that's okay too. That's what the series is for. See you in the next one. Happy Social Workers Month, and this is definitely a vibe check.